Lesson 17, Areas of Rectangles. This is a very easy lesson, so let's do it. Perimeter has to do with length. What is the length all around a figure? And we're talking about one dimension. The area is surface, and for a rectangle is the length by the width, and that is 2 dimensions. So in this case, for example, if I have this rectangle that is 6 units by 4, what we're saying is that here we have 4 units going up, and here we have 6. And so if we were to count how many there are, we can see that there are 6 going one direction and 4 going in another direction. So 6 by 4, which is 24 squares. What you have to remember, and you can write this in a formula sheet, is that the area of a rectangle is the length by the width. Now, the length usually is the longest line, and the width is the smallest. But it doesn't really matter because the order doesn't affect the product. Let's look at this example. It says find the area. The first thing we're going to do is write the formula length times width. In this case, the length is 36 and the width is 24. So I have to multiply these two. I'll do it here on the side so my process, this is the process, is not interrupted. Now in this case, since they don't give us the units, we're just going to put square units because we're talking about area and it's a 2-dimensional shape. In this next example, we notice that they don't give us a rectangle. They give us an L-shaped figure. So what we can do is divide these into 2 rectangles. One way to do it is pass a line here, which is just an imaginary line that creates rectangle A and rectangle B. And if I find the area of A and B, I find the area of that shape. The dimensions for the rectangle A are 4 by 4, and the dimensions for rectangle B are 12 by 2. Notice that in this case, we don't need the 6 because the 6 is being represented here and here. And the 6 is being cut by that imaginary line, so we are not using that. So we find that, and that's going to be 16 plus 24, and 16 plus 24 is 40. Let's say that in this one the units are centimeters, so again, the answer is 40 square centimeters. But you might also be noticing that we could do this in a different way. If we have the same shape, but we divide or we pass the imaginary line this way, we find another rectangle, which is this one, C and D. Let's look at the dimensions for that one. In this case, we are going to use the 6 by 4, and then we're not going to use the 12 because the 12 is being cut here. So we're going to use the 2 by this number. Now this we don't know, so we will have to subtract 12 minus 4, which is 8. So since we always try to do the easiest way of doing things in math, I would vote that this one is the easier one because we don't have to find any numbers. We already have all the dimensions we need. But let's just finish this to see that we get exactly the same answer. If I find the area of C and the area of D, we're going to find 40 as well. So 6 by 4 is the dimensions for C, and 8 by 2 are the dimensions for D, and that's going to be 24 plus 16 again, which is 40 square centimeters. So it doesn't matter in which way we divide the figure, as long as we are very careful on which dimensions we use, we're going to get the same answer. Now in this last example, I want you to notice that it's a little bit different because it's not an L shape, it's an U shape. And so when I make the cuts, either horizontal here and here, or if I do the cuts vertically here and here, I have to be very careful with the dimensions, okay? So let's try it. I'm gonna keep it like this, vertically. So we have, this one is ready, 10 by 3. So let's find the area of this U shape. It's going to be A, the area of A, plus B, which we don't know the dimensions, plus C. So let's write here, 10 by 3 are the dimensions of the rectangle A. Now, how can we find the dimensions for rectangle B? Now, for the dimensions of B, we have to be careful and look for those. We have here 8, and here we have a 3. So 8 minus 3 is 5. So this little space there is also 5. Okay, and so the dimensions for B are going to be 5 by 5. I know it doesn't look like a square, but it's okay. We're not working with drawings that are at scale. And then finally, the dimensions for C are 7 by 8. We do these carefully. And once we have the areas of each of the rectangles, then we can add. So the total is 111 square meters. And that's it. Okay, go do some practice. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you in the next video.